Yo, this episode is just so good. It's so good. Like, somehow, every single week, Chainsaw Man defies common sense and surpasses all expectations that continuously are getting higher and higher week after week. Like, last week I thought was the best episode. Now, this episode I think is the best episode. And just every single episode that comes out, the series is just getting better and better. It's seriously the animation, to the art, to just the way everything is presented in the anime. It is just straight up getting better and better. And I really love this episode so much. It's such a high quality episode. So much details with the character development, characterization, to just the plot, to just getting to see the wonderful visuals, a lot of introduction to some of our characters like, Kobeni and all that, like getting more about her personality. There is just so much good. There's some comedy in this as well. Just what a fantastic episode of Chainsaw Man. Now, before I talk about the actual content of the episode, like the details and stuff, I want to talk about the ending song, because the ending song is, let's just be honest here, this ending song is really good. Now, I think personally the last ending song was better than this one, but this is legitimately a really good ending. Once again, the imagery, the visuals of it is nice. I like the spiraling staircase. I really just love how the staircases are. It kind of really fits the theme of what's going on with this story right now, because once again, our characters are kind of like trapped in limbo. They're literally trapped in like this motel 8th floor and all that. They can't really leave it. They can't, go up a floor, down a floor, etc. Come to find out in the middle of the episode that, the floor they're on is apparently, like, inside this demon's stomach, or this devil's stomach. So, we know for a fact that they're trapped. They're just completely trapped. They can't really do anything. But, the overall concept of what is going on with the vibe of, this story right now is that, they're in limbo, or, they're stuck in a loop, pretty much. And this ending song really just fits that theme, and this is kind of what's been happening every single episode. Every ending song, for the most part, pretty much follows the theme of the episode, and you can just see that there's been a lot of time and dedication put into these ending songs. I mean, granted, they have a new ending song every single episode, which is just, let's be honest here, that's ridiculous. So, like, legit, I've been kind of neglecting to talk about that. But that legitimately is ridiculous, that they literally have a different ending song for every single episode. Not every day do you see an anime quite like Chainsaw Man doing something like that. Like, I like to talk about, like, ReZero, or let's say Mushoku Tensei, and how, like, they cut out the opening songs, or they do certain things with their opening songs to be able to have more, showcasing or broadcast time for the content. They do these workarounds and stuff, and that's incredible what those series do. But Chainsaw Man, I think, is one of the first series I've ever seen that actually has a different song for every single episode that comes out. That's a lot of work, legitimately, because they're not, like, reusing art and animation for an ending song. They are just straight up making a completely new ending song with a new song on top of it. It's just like, holy crap, like, they really are, going all out for the series. And, I mean, I think all of us can agree, we appreciate that, but it's just like, it's not every day you see something like that. It's honestly incredible just how much attention to detail is put into these ending songs. But okay, but out of the way, let's talk about this episode. I think that this episode legitimately, it has a nice blend of everything that makes Chainsaw Man great. I mean, we have great comedy, or dark comedy in a sense. We have, just wonderful character development, characterization, a little bit of world building, and some really just good background art and stuff. Like, we have really nice imagery and all that. We have some symbolism. There's a lot of stuff in this episode that legitimately is great. And I think the character I want to talk about first is Kobeni, because she is quite a spotlight for this episode. And I think anyone that is anime only and you're watching this episode, you might have two responses to Kobeni. I think that's what people are going to have. The response of A is where you're going to think, oh wow, she's so over the top and she's, crazy or scared that she's kind of funny and hilarious and you might like her character. Or you might have the exact opposite feeling on the B side of the spectrum. Basically, like, you think she's annoying because of just how she's so unfit to be a devil hunter. And then the same can be said kind of for the other character that kind of has, like, a nervous breakdown as well, wants to get rid of DENJI. And, Kobeni as well. I love her as a character. I legitimately love her. I just love how scared she is. And I think one of the big aspects of this episode that people might, not really get, because there's just so much going on, is that it's a very realistic depiction of the fear of death, or the inevitable of what's about to happen. And I think that that's what makes this episode just really good, like the final conclusion of it, such a good moment, because you see characters like, Himeno, hopefully I'm saying her name right, she basically she's someone that seemed very strong-willed, someone that was, like, not bending or gonna break, but then she suddenly breaks down at the end of the episode, and you see all these characters eventually kind of succumb to fear or pressure in some way, and I think that this is legitimately a really realistic scene. Now, I know that when we're talking about manga or anime, realism isn't necessarily what you always get, because, I mean, we have literally characters fighting devils and stuff, okay, there is a stretch and there's a fine line, but the point is that it's clear that Fujimoto, the author of Chainsaw Man, the way he writes his characters, he likes to put these very realistic moments, because, like, if you're stuck in the middle of limbo, on a floor and all that, regardless if you're a seasoned or veteran, devil hunter, and you've been killing a lot of them, eventually there's going to be a point to where you're going to snap. You're going to completely snap. You're not going to know what to do. There's going to be a breaking point. And we get to see that with some of our characters, that they reach a breaking point and that they start to either fear death or fear other things, someone else from dying. And I really like that depiction. It's realistic. And I don't know, just that is a little moment that really needs to be praised. I know not many people are going to care about that, but I legitimately like that type of stuff, especially in Chainsaw Man, and Fujimoto really gets so much better with that as the series goes on, like just the realism factor, despite it obviously being about hunting devils and stuff. Now, anyways, let's get back into, Kobeni. So, Kobeni as a character, I think, is really interesting, because we kind of find out that, the devil wants, this devil wants to make a contract with these devil hunters. Like, give me over DENJI's, corpse and all that, and then I'll let you guys be. And we kind of find out a lot about, the world building of the story when it comes to devils and contracts, that when you make a contract with the devil, it matters a lot. For instance, if, a devil offers that, if they don't follow by that contract that they offer to the person, they also could die. So it's a win-win and a lose-lose depending on how the contract goes. And for the devil to, this devil to even make that type of statement shows that they really do want DENJI badly, if they're willing to make something like that, like a deal like that. But the question now is how does this individual, this Eternity Devil, know about DENJI? And why is this Eternity Devil so scared to really face DENJI? That's a big thing about this episode as well, because it is obviously shown that this Eternity Devil does not want to face DENJI, doesn't want to get up in a straight-up brawl, is doing these shady tactics to be able to fight him. So what is going on here? Why is that? Even if, let's say, this Eternity Devil can't die, as it said itself, why is it so fearful? Why is it fearful of, let's say, DENJI or Chainsaw Man? But, anyways, the point is that we get a lot about contracts, but now we understand a little bit more about Aki and his contract, and it kind of lets us know that, these contracts are really concrete, they're set in stone, and it makes us wonder a little bit more about, DENJI's contract with, Puchita, because technically Puchita became DENJI's heart, and Puchita is kind of seeing DENJI try to achieve his goal or his life. So the big question is there anything else? What will happen to DENJI if he's not able to accomplish his goal? This contract or whatever he made with, Puchita. And there's a lot of little things, a lot of world building with that I think is very fascinating. We get more hints at fear as well. We visually see within this episode as, Kobeni and the other characters, they start to express fear and fright. The devil there, this, Eternity Devil, starts to grow in power, starts to expand in the hallway, showing that it is literally feeding off the fear and dread and these negative emotions around it, which, once again, is reinforcing that aspect that was introduced a few episodes ago, that, devils literally get stronger the more people that fear them. Now, once again, this comes into question, does the same thing happen to DENJI, since, technically he's kind of like a fiend, or a cross of a fiend, or something weird like that, he has Puchita inside of him. If devils fear him, does he get powerful? If people fear him, does he get more powerful? That's a big question about that. Can he get stronger? And it's clear that for some reason this entity does fear him for some reason. We don't understand that at the moment. Now, anyways, let's talk about Aki and Himeno's, character. The relationship and what was really happening in this backstory that we saw earlier in the episode. So basically, we get a lot about these two characters. That, Himeno is someone that keeps losing partners. We saw this in the previous episode, but we get a little bit more to it, that, after she loses her partner, she has to shoulder that burden by herself. No one's really there to comfort her, and you have the family members of her deceased partner come up and, slap her or do awful things to her, which we see in this episode. And Aki, which is her new partner, comes in, sticks some gum on that woman's clothing, and just walks away. And it kind of represents that Aki is alongside of Himeno and wants to help her out. And, he wants to always be there for her and never have to leave her behind. And so you see in this episode a very toxic attachment to each other. Or at least, Himeno's attachment to Aki. I don't think Aki has the exact same toxic attachment, but I do think that there is an attachment there that is a little bit unhealthy, because once again, at the end of the episode, when she starts to freak out when Aki is injured, you can see she really is fearful of Aki dying. Like, if Aki dies, her entire world will shatter. She doesn't want to go through with that, and it seems like the only reason why she was able to keep, like, a level head throughout this episode was because, she knew that there was always a backup plan to throw DENJI to the wolves, so to speak, and that's how they could get out of there. So, the fact that that plan kind of fell through, and Aki got injured, her entire reality started to shatter, and it just shows that she has this very toxic attachment to Aki that is definitely not healthy. And we need something to go on with character development with her. She needs to go through some character development to be a little bit more trusting and not completely break down if, let's say, Aki gets injured. But it, once again, kind of paints the world in a more darker picture as well. Because obviously what this series is definitely trying to showcase is that it is dark. There is a lot of death, etc. in it. And obviously, Himeno, she has seen a lot of death, and she doesn't want to see that no more. And one of the big things that is also stated, the only people that really survive for a very long time as a double hunter are those that really have a screw loose. They're nutcases, so to speak. And it's clear that a lot of our characters are basically nutcases. I mean, Power obviously is. Aki is to a certain extent. DENJI definitely is. Himeno is technically now seeing her toxic relationship and all that. Kobeni is a little bit crazy as well, getting to see this moment with her. So yeah, when you just when you see all this, it's clear that our characters that are around are not good team players. Like, they're not really good teammates, so to speak, and they're crazy. But at the same time, because of how crazy they are and because of how bad teammates they are with each other, they somehow work. And I think that's kind of what this arc is really trying to show, is that Fujimoto is really unique with his writing, especially with his characters, and it's chaos. And I think that is one of the big fundamentals when it comes to Chainsaw Man and what makes it so successful. But I guess I'm going to leave it at that, though. Once again, great episode. Absolutely fantastic episode of Chainsaw Man. I really love the stuff, the little comedy scenes like with Power saying, 100% sales tax and all that. It's legitimately just a fantastic episode. I really have no complaints with it. I think many probably will agree with me on that. But tell me your thoughts. How did you feel about the episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Be honest in the comments below. But with that, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.